Right, peace and blessings, family. Thank you all for joining us today. It is a great Friday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern over here in New York in the East Coast. And we are honored to have so many of you with us here today. I'm sure more people will be coming in as we speak. But we are honored to have a very knowledgeable individual on the line with us today, Mr. B-Boy Pluto-7 of TBB, who's one of the most knowledgeable people that I know on hip hop history. So it's been a minute. You know, some of you who were on the first meeting early in January got to hear a little bit of his knowledge where he broke down the early eras of B-Boys for a brief segment. And a lot of you have been asking for more information on that. So we finally were able to set up a time and schedule to get him on the line. We have him with us here today. We also have my brother, the co-founder of Chosen, Acer, on the line with us. So it's an honor to have him. We have Mr. Sir Malik One, who some of you may remember from the book Peace in Time of War, and the discussions that we had about the Declaration of Peace and the principles. And let me make sure you can hear me. And yeah, so I'm excited. I've been looking forward to today. I've been speaking with B-Boy Pluto-7 about some of the things that some of the people are interested in, that they've been asking about, the timeline. And so without any further ado, if you'd like, Mr. Pluto-7, you want to give us a brief background, history on you, and how you gathered the knowledge that you're going to share with us today?
Some blessings to everybody. First and foremost, before I get in that, I want to say happy birthday to Kool Herc.
All right, peace. Happy birthday.
And like a quick brief summary of my background. I saw b-boying in 81, like late 81, and on a news, on Channel 7 News. And it was like a 5-minute, commentary of it. They showed the footage and all that, and I was just captivated by it, and that footage just stuck in my head, and I practiced that for like a year, for like pretty much like a year before anyone had ever seen me dance or anything. And after that year, late 82, early 83, that's when I recognized myself as starting from that year of what I saw, and by that time there were other people doing it, and it built up. And this was in Morris County, New Jersey, particularly Dover, New Jersey, where I'm originally from. And it's always been something that I've always been really interested in, the whole hip hop culture. But at first I wanted to be a DJ, because I was just mesmerized by seeing, all of the DJs from back in the day, and seeing footage and seeing, the guys in my local area, and the brothers in Zulu, the guys that, were just doing their thing, and hearing about, the mixtapes and all of that stuff. So that's what I initially got into. But then also, as a young kid, I started seeing, a lot of the Shaw Brother videos, and all the movies, Saturday, Kung Fu Theater and all that stuff. So it was like, I want to run away. I want to move to China. I want to go to the Shaolin Temple.
Right.
When I was just talking to, my brother iRock, we were just talking about this. He was like, I think every kid, wants to, like run away and go to the Shaolin Temple. And, my mom couldn't afford the lessons. So when I saw b-boying, I'm like, yo, this is what it is. That's exactly what I'm going to do. This is the next best thing. So after that just catapulted, and I just had an affinity for, whenever I got in anything, I did research on it. So I was just very diligent in, learning any and everything of all the aspects of the culture, reading every article, watching every TV thing. And as I got older, when I got a VCR, I recorded everything, and I would make tapes and copies and send them out to friends and etc. So yeah, that's just, without getting too deep into it.
Right. And so when did you first start b-boying and getting into, battles and ciphers like that in public?
In late 82, early 83 is when, I recognized, when I was confident and I thought, I was decent enough, to present what I had learned, and went out and, and just, my area, we would battle. And our area was unique because it was different back then. We would battle before, we would go to school. We would battle during school on recess, and then we would battle after school. So the whole aspect of battling was very big. You battled in my area. You battled all the time. If for me to get on the other side of town, I would have to battle people. Now, if your name was known, you either battled people because your name was known, or or people didn't want to battle you because they were like, nah, we're gonna let him pass. Like that was the whole thing of just the respect of being, when you were nice with yours, people either wanted to battle you or they just didn't want to battle you. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't something where you trained to battle people. Hold on. All right. It wasn't a thing where you trained and then you battled, here and there or whatever. I mean, we did that on the weekends when the bigger battles came, if you were in a crew or if you got caught out or if something was hyped up. But for the most part, it was just something we always did. We always danced and we always battled. So yeah, that was just what it was.
And who were some of the crews that were around back then? Some of the B-boy crews that was around?
Oh, in my area, the two biggest crews were Basset Rockers and Lady Lovers. And those were the crews, those are the two crews that you wanted to, to be in. Those were, the OGs. I was a young kid, so at that time, I was, trying to hang out with the older dudes. So I was always like the shorty who tried to hang out with the older dudes or whatnot. I never got into the crew because they when it came to the late night thing, I was a young buck, so I had to be in at a certain time or whatnot. But the guys, and my area, we practiced amongst each other, and then we battled other people and etc. and the whole nine. Right, and then eventually, I started teaching. So I moved around a lot. So everywhere I went, I just happened to start teaching, just teaching the dance. My first student that I had, he was it's actually a 17-year-old outlaw dude. I can't even remember it was so far back. I can't even remember what outlaw club that he belonged to, but I just remember his cut. And I remember, just staring at his cut, and I'm like, what's this? This is ill. And then, seeing, 70 blocks from Tiffany's and all that, then, I start to understand more. And then I just would see certain things. It's funny, I would see certain things at that age that came full circle to now, that pieced a lot of things that make more sense, to what I was learning while I was seeing it, but couldn't fully grasp it at the moment when I was at that young age.
Right. All right. So let's do it like this. We'll start with the basics. What exactly is a B-boy, and what's the difference between a B-boy and other dancers?
A B-boy, the word B-boy has two meanings. If we're going with the first draft and the first concept of it, it was what Kool Herc called the dancers in his crew. It's who he catered to. It was the guys who were the superstars that, he that brought the crowd and brought the people, because these dancers were there. And if you were a dancer, these were the dudes that, you either looked up to, wanted to be like, or, sometimes wanted to even battle against, in order to get the name. But the word B-boy was actually the name of the dancers within his crew of the Herculoids. They were called B-boys. It later on took a life of its own and it spread it out. And then, it became, what we know as today, B-boy. Another two meanings was Bronx boy, because it started in the Bronx. And then there was break boy. meaning that, again, going back to the Cool Herc sensibility that break, they danced on the break. They danced to, Jimmy Castor, James Brown, a lot of funk and like rock or whatever, whatnot. And a lot of things with, percussions and all of that stuff. And in later years, that style of dance, it kept elevating, from like 70, like late 72, early 73 on, as more records were introduced and they spread around more throughout the years of the whole decade. The changing of all of the changes that happened within, the B-boys and the DJing and all that, and the records that introduced affected the way the dance was, and it elevated the dance as a lot of these new findings were coming about.
Right. Okay. So then that brings us to, and something we've discussed before, the little bit of a confusion in the beginning when it first came out with B-boys, and we referred to it as breaking, and then the news and media started calling it break dancing. So what's the difference between breaking and break dancing?
The best way for, without getting all too confusing, I would say, is a break dancer is somebody that that does elements of b-boying, that does like the styles of the West Coast styles, like the funk styles of popping, and locking and all that, and you mix all of that together.
Okay.
And you mix other styles of street dance. You're not, and this is something that the B-boys in the 70s did not do. They were separate. If you did any of those other dance styles other than B-boy, then you were called something else, or you were into that. Though it did take elements of that, but it was strictly a foundation of freestyle, later top rock, and then leg work and shuffles, then steps like your 3, 4, etc. And that's the order of everything, of the progression of the beginning stages of the dance. So if you follow that blueprint, that's what constitutes you as a b-boy.
Okay.
And we're talking early aspects of the dance before it got really, really developed. This is something that was it was very basic. And a lot of the things were slowly like being developed. So with the exclusion of mentioning the 3 and the 4 step and those things, everything else is pretty much 73 to 74. So right now, the things that I discussed are 73 and 74. We haven't even, we're just on the tip of 75. 75 was another quantum leap into the dance, and then, from 75 to 77, you had a whole bunch of advancements. And then 77, things really blew up with the influence of the way DJs DJ'd, which affected the way they danced also.
Right, got you. So to real quick to I guess paraphrase, if we look at styles of hip hop dancing, right? There's popping, there's locking, there's crump, there's light feet, there's all these styles. You're saying b-boying is its own style, not including those, but with the top rocking, floor rocking, aerials, power moves, that is b-boying. Popping, locking, all those stuff are other styles of dance. And if you do all those, that's break dancing. Or if you mix those, that's break dancing. But b-boying is its own style.
Like when you see Turbo and Ozone in the movie Breaking, they're mixing all of that stuff in there. They really didn't do a lot of footwork. They didn't really do a lot of b-boying. It was mixed in with a lot of stuff. They have like a locking background, like Shabba-Doo, which came before breaking. They have that, which predates all of that stuff. But later on, they learned. Some people may not know that Fable and Wiggles and those guys actually had an exchange with those guys and taught them. They the two of them, the two from the East and the brothers from the West, they had they exchanged dance styles or whatnot. So that's why when you see those guys, they have a lot of that, mixture, Fable and Wiggles, they have a lot of funk styles. They're some of the pioneers over on the East of the funk styles. But b-boying is tops, footwork, freezes, shuffles, leg work, and things of that matter.
All right, that's peace. I mean, that makes sense to me. And when he first broke it down to me, it really cleared things up for me because, for me, a lot of us probably, we just think the term is different between breaking and breakdancing. But it's not just the term that's different. There's actually, like I said, where he revealed it to me, b-boying is its own style. And then breakdancing is kind of the umbrella for all those other styles.
That's more of an 80s, and that's more of an 80s, that's an 80s thing. That's more of an 80s, media term. It's an 80s media term that was used, all the movies that came out in the 80s of, these breaking movies and breakdance and all that stuff. It's more of an 80s term, because they weren't saying that, in the beginning, a lot of the first generations who started in the early 70s, they called it going off. Going off was one of the big styles one of the big names. But then also a few years after that, the introduction of the word rocking, which was influenced, by a lot of the Puerto Rican brothers who came through, and they introduced the rocking style, and that opened up a whole new aspect of the approach of the dance by taking the rocking and the top rocking influence and going to the floor. They added that style, to create the leg movements and the more shuffles and the three and the other steps that you see now.
Dope, definitely. Quality information. Real quick, shout out to Stretch TBB in the house. He's giving a shout out to you, Pluto. Thank you for joining us, brother. And
peace,
actually,
brother.
Real quick, do you have anything to add to what Pluto's saying? Feel free. Stretch.
Hey, my guys, I got nothing to add. My man Pluto is always on point. I'm always asking him to correct my info. So shout out from South Africa. We got love for you, bro.
Peace, brother. How you doing?
Peace.
Good, man.
All right. Pleasure to have you joining us with us. We're learning, again, like you, he's one of those guys that we turn to for the information. So we figure, why not introduce him to the world and let everybody get a little bit of information from Pluto. So thank you for joining us. Anything you can add. And again, thank you for joining us from South Africa. We definitely want to connect with you. We're also building with brother Emil out there from South Africa. So we want to start telling the story of hip hop in South Africa. So definitely connect with us so we can build on that too.
Stretch also.
Definitely, that's what I'm saying.
The wealth of history.
Dope. That's what's up. And while we have a moment, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I actually want to share with you, brother Pluto's Facebook. All right, 70s Rockin' Beat Boy History info page. One of the best resources of b-boy and b-girl history and information you will find anywhere on the internet. He's been putting it together for, what you say, about 9-10 years almost now.
I can't remember, but in this June will either be 9 or 10 years that the page has been up.
And like I was scrolling through it, trying to, get to the bottom of the pages for you guys. So that way I could be like, okay, let's go to the beginning and walking through it. And I never got to the bottom. It just kept growing and growing and growing. So there's so much information. But the great thing we did yesterday, and this is sort of why I bring it up to share it with you guys, is you can actually search the information. So for example, you were telling me that one of the earliest iterations of the b-boys was the shuffle, and I believe, did you say, who was it, Little Boy Keith or something like that?
Well, no. To my knowledge, I don't know exactly who created the shuffle, but the Zulu Kings were like, that was like the first style. They were like more sporadic. It was less organized, as you see, the footage of Keith, of him, doing
and what was that was his name? What was it?
Little Boy Keith.
Little Boy Keith. So now you can see when I pull it in, it'll actually bring up the pictures with him in it. And this is how we were able to take a look right there, so you guys can see for yourself who these people are, a link, the name, the crew that they're part of. He did a great job of labeling this information for you, so that way you would be able to identify who a lot of these people are. You know, so you know, big, you know, gratitude from all of us for doing that. But as you can see, it's not very difficult. So if you want to know something about a certain crew or a certain b-boy, chances are he's got some information in here, in his page about it, where you could just search it. So going back to what you were saying before we had these 3 and 4 and 6 steps, a lot of it was the shuffle, and Zulu Kings and Baby Zulus were kind of synonymous for that. That was the way they did it in the beginning, correct?
Yeah. When things slowly, because, you know, the guys before, like the Baby Zulus and all of that, they were more like, they had more individual styles, and it was more like a freestyle burning going off type of style.
Right.
But when, you know, the Baby Zulus, you know, came through, things, you know, slowly started to take shape, but it was still hadn't become what we see today. But they were like the precursors to all of that. So again, you know, there was a lot that was going on in a short amount of time. There was one brother who was Robbie Rob, who actually invented like the chair freeze. So this is something that like no one in b-boying has ever said or says, but I say that he is the godfather of all the air moves.
Okay, and who was this? Say that name again.
Robbie Rob.
Robbie Rob. Everybody, all right? So let me see if I can pull him up actually for you. These are important things to know that it's not common knowledge.
Hold on. It's instead of the Y, it's an I-E and 1B.
Okay. See.
No, it's two B's. It's ROBBIE. Yeah, that's it. That's it right there. That's him down there.
Okay, here we go. Which picture?
The right there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, it's small. Cool, but you guys get it. And then again, it'll show you the name of the person, the name of his crew, and you know what he did. So here it says creator of the first freeze, the chair freeze.
Well, yeah. Pluto, you said chair freeze, and what else did you say? You said something about air moves. What else did you say?
He's the guy who is the godfather of air moves. Now, this is something that comes from my education, and it comes from my research. And you know, I don't think there's going to be anyone who to really dispute that, because that move helped create the first 3 versions of the backspin. The third version most people know is the windmill, but it's actually called the continuous windmill, which Crazy Legs invented.
Continuous backspin.
Yeah, where you know where you see now, like a lot of people call it the windmill, but the technical windmill is when you're no longer pushing with your hands. You're moving through with your hips and your legs.
All right. And again, these are things that if you can't picture it, write down the term and you can look it up and you can Google it, see exact examples of what he's talking about. And these are the things that are sort of elemental. So after we had the shuffle, sort of that went ushered in the next phase, I believe you were telling me sort of the creation and innovation of the 3, 4, and 6 steps, correct?
Yes, the innovations of the steps were the first one was the 3, which was introduced by Batch from TBB.
Right. All right. So here you have, again, I just put in 3 steps on his page. It comes up with the image and who created the step. This one actually, okay, this one, I think you had another post where you named who they were. This one, I don't see it on the description.
Yes.
But you can tell us. It's a good image. So you can tell us who they are. 3 steps back.
I'll go in order. Ironically, you know, 3, 4, 6, you would think, you know, things go chronologically, and they do. But there's there's a little discrepancy, but I'll go first with the first brother, the 3-step. That's Batch. He introduced the 3-step. The second person is Spy.
All right, hold on, real quick. Batch of what crew?
TBB.
For those that don't know, TBB.
The Bronx Boys. The Bronx Boys.
Okay.
And then there's Spy, who's from CC Crew, the Crazy Commandos crew.
Okay.
And then the 6, I have to double check because I always get this wrong, and thank God I have people who correct me. But that was one of the things I didn't get a chance to correct you. If I'm not mistaken, I think Spy also. Wait, hold on. Give me a minute. I'll just say this for now. The CC is yes, the CC is this is wow, my mind is going to blank. I have so much information. Sometimes I have to like decompress. But he's from the CC crew. That's and he's also in the same crew as Spy. And the 6-step was actually never used as a move to use like in the dance. It was used as a training tool, and then more it was used when the circles got tight, they stretched out. Like
okay.
it was, they did it in an elongated circular movement like what you see now. That's what most people do now as a 6, but in the 70s they weren't really using that. But he does a really exaggerated elongated version, and that opens up the circle so there's more room, because as things get more intense, circles tend to get tighter and tighter and tighter.
Right. Okay. So then these are sort of the foundational steps that sort of ushered in the next phase of b-boys.
Yeah. This is when they added rhythm. This is when they added rhythm, and it was more of an organized more organized approach. So the concept of the concept of the foundation of what the Zulu Kings brought with CC, TBB, and a few other crews added onto it. Now, this ushers in, the Latin influence onto the dance. These are all Latin brothers that introduced that style, which comes from they took influence from the rocking.
Okay. And then, so around what year were these 3, 4, 6 steps ushered in that this next era of floor rock and power move started?
I don't have an exact date, but I would say between 76 and 77.
Okay.
76, between 76 and 77. And later on, talking, to some of the OGs, some of the other crews had their own version. Like crews had their own version of the 3, had their own version of the 4, had their own version of the 6.
Okay.
So there were certain things that that differentiated people, from this, so what style, what was what, and everything, and that's what had their that's what gave them their own identity within crews, alongside the identity of themselves, individuals. Because as a dancer, even if you're in a crew, you want to have your own uniqueness,
Right. Definitely. And real quick, so let's touch on that real quick. And while I do that, I'm going to bring this up. So this is a tool some of you have seen before that we use to sort of outline the eras of hip hop, and we look at it, all of this stuff, everything he's talking about, pieces or elements of b-boying, of MCing, or DJing graffiti existed before 74. But as we started getting here, when these elements started coming together in the Bronx, this is where they started to form as part of this culture. So what he's talking about now is the early, what we call here is the pioneer era. So with that being said, who were some of the important groups? I know you touched on them on the early call at the beginning of the year, but some of the, important groups of the pioneer era. And, we talked already about the dance moves, the innovations that happened. And so who were some of the groups that made it?
You have again, the CC crew. the Zulu Kings. You have Star Child of Rock. You have TBB. You have Rockwell Association. Those were like the big crews, and then you have other crews that were, that were a little smaller, but still just as potent, like the Seven Deadly Sins, which is Little Lep, who was known as Little Man back then, later became, who he was. And New York City Breakers for a lot of people who know him from that. There's, and then, there's a lot of older crews that later came on, like towards the end, like Young City Boys, which was Ken Swift's crew, and all them, who later, got into Rocksteady crew.
All right, that's what's up. And real quick, shout out to Brother Quan, 138. Thank you for joining us, brother. Always appreciate. Again, I know some of you guys are pioneers and experts and well knowledge. So anything you guys can add, to the information.
That's the man right there. That is the man right there.
All right, peace, brother. Thank you for joining us. And Pluto's always spoken highly of you, so I'm glad to see you here. And these are the things that we want to make sure we have multiple people on that can kind of cross-check and fact-check and make sure that we're getting the information accurate, because these are the things that we're not just doing it for the sake of doing it to say, hey, learn this stuff so you know all about being boy history. We're saying learn this stuff so you know about the history and the culture and the things that most people don't know. And this is part of our, it's almost an oral tradition that we have to pass down, but we have to start to document it and then work with groups like the Universal Hip Hop Museum and the West Coast Hip Hop Museum and start to get this information out there together, cohesively, understanding. And again, open to other people to say, hey, no, actually this happened first, or so-and-so did that. We want that. We need that.
Can I make a quick correction? The brother in those three pictures, his name was Shorty Rock.
Shorty Rock. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
From CC Crew.
Okay, and CC Crew was that was the Crazy Commandos, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Any comments? Anything people feel free to contribute or ask or clarify. It's an open discussion. We just have Brother Pluto leading on it because he knows more than on the subject than most of us do.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this is really dope for me personally. Pluto, I already have a timeline that I put together that I'm kind of gauging with your presentation today. I want your authority though. I'm really here listening to you to get the seal. I would like to get my timeline to you and the other brothers up here, the brother from South Africa and the other brother that just came on.
Yeah.
To certify it, because I'm actually putting a curriculum together. I'm putting a syllabus and a curriculum together to not only teach hip hop, but to teach people how to teach hip hop. Mm-hmm. We know how important this is. We built on this early or whatever. So I'm gonna build with you, either get your email, make sure you put your email in your chat so I can hit you with that. This is really dope, man. I really appreciate your presence, man. TBB, absolutely. Stand up, all that, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, man.
That's what's up. And so now talking about that era, some of the names you had mentioned before and we discussed, let me see here, is Charlie Rock, Anthony G. Horn, a brother many of us know who was there, from the early days. He's been documented, part of the Zulu King. Lil Boy Keith from the Baby Zulu with the Shuffles. And then we mentioned Batch, Spy. And then you said the last one was who? The third one you just mentioned?
Wait, say that again.
The last brother you just mentioned that was in the third picture.
Shorty Rock. He was actually the president of the CC Crew.
Okay, that's what's up. And then so then we started talking about the different. I'm sorry, who's this here? I wonder who were one of the first B girls. Okay, and that was actually part of the discussion we got into yesterday. I have on the list. But we did mention some of the popular B girls in the early days. It's hard to pin down who was the first, but we can say who were some of the earliest and who were some of the influential. Brother Quan, you might know. You know who some of the earliest B girls were that were really representing?
Hello, you can hear me?
Yes, sir. Peace, family.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you could hear me because I just happened to check to see if somebody was sending me any messages, and that's how I came across with Pluto and his poster y'all got up right now, man. So I just sort of like lucked out on it because right now I'm here at work. So right now I'm on like on a pause mission right now, man. But as far as with the As far as with the early females, I couldn't really tell you because you had females over there in the Bronx and Manhattan, you know,
Right, right.
areas in Brooklyn who grew up with brothers, who had brothers or cousins who used to get down. So for me to say about starting, I really couldn't mention on that, you know, because you know, a lot of times now what you do is how you look doing it.
Right, right,
See,
right.
so that's
True,
another thing towards it, man. So, you know, as
true.
far as with the first and all that, I couldn't really tell you that, man.
All right, no doubt, but I appreciate that just the same, and I'm glad you're here. We definitely want to connect with you. You know, like I said, Pluto and I have been talking about putting sort of a b-boy panel together. You know, with a lot of the brothers that have this firsthand knowledge. So I would love to build with you on that together.
Yeah,
Like I said, we will be working with the Universal Hip Hop Museum, so we want to make sure our voice is in there and making sure you know they're
yeah,
getting the
definitely,
details. So,
definitely, definitely. Pluto
all right,
already knows. Pluto already knows how I feel about him. I told him already that anything in dealing with this, with the scene or whatever, I got his back on that.
that's what's up. Much love and
Word up,
respect.
man.
So some of the
Word up.
early Zulu, I mean rather I'll say Zulu in a minute, females that we talked about.
Could I just interject right here?
Yes, sir.
You know, based on their accounts, there was Shyrock, and then there were two dancing dolls, one from the Bronx, one from and one from Harlem, and then there was Headspin Janet, who started like in the late 70s, who was like known as like she used to smoke dudes. You know, according to you know what a lot of people who danced with her, they said she was a problem. She was also in Rocksteady Crew in the earlier years with them, and they said you know she she was a woman that you know like a lot of the stuff that the dudes do. She was doing a lot of the stuff that they do.
Right, right.
And then you know then there's honorable mention of Wanda, who was the president of what's the name of that crew, the Mexican crew. She wasn't a B girl or whatever, but she saw that she oversaw them or whatever whatnot. But you know her you know being involved you know with the crew and getting them organized, and you know she was kind of like oversaw them because you know the Mexican crew was like a bunch of you know people who were like runaways, and like you know things were like a little they were different back then. You know things were different back then, so you know you know a lot of the brothers and sisters back then you know, were living very rough. You know, and in some aspects the dance was their outlet or it was what kept them balanced or whatever whatnot. So there are a good amount. They're not spoken enough. Me personally, I've always contemplating about getting you know people you know to really you know start to share more of that stuff. There is a a girl on Instagram. I don't know the exact name, but if you type in B Girl Herstory, she does a lot of you know she does a lot of stuff on B Girl history. I've given her like a good amount of stuff of the B Girl history that I've had, but she does like all of the eras. You know, she you know she does all the eras. What I do on my page right now, I'm just focusing on the 70s. I'm slowly going to you know go into the 80s, but my whole thing is like it's about doing all the information that no one has heard of or at least known.
Right,
So.
definitely. And that was all right. So just to recap some of those names, MC Shyrock. Many of you may know MC Shyrock is the first luminary, legendary female MC of hip hop.
Well, I wouldn't say she's the first, but she's one of the early.
Right, but she's one of the earliest B girls. She was a B girl before she was an MC. You know, and then he mentioned Headspin Janet. He also mentioned before Baby Love, Bambi, Deucey, which I believe is Deusy. Right, so these are some important B girl names from the early days.
And if you go on the Facebook page and you type in B girl, you will get a lot of the information of all the B girls that are featured on the page. So it's a good area, you know, to start from.
Definitely. And again, we appreciate the questions. These are important things. So you know, again, and as you see, here and I had already prepared for a part of the discussion is making sure to highlight some of the early B girls because like we said, they weren't just good B girls. A lot of them could rock the men. Like they were fucking infamous for their style. Forgive my language, but that's how it was, you know. So great stuff, great questions. And then you know, we sort of
you know, one more I can't forget. There were you know, there were the Zulu queens also.
Yes, okay, and that was I started to mention before, the Zulu queens early in the beginning, correct. Absolute. And then just, you know, we kind of rattled off a couple of names yesterday, so I'm sharing. We also had our B girl Tara, and that was the later part, right? You said probably closer to the 80s.
Tara is she's a 90s B girl.
Okay, and then we have Lady Jewel.
She comes from an all girls hip hop crew called the Anomalies. That are DJs, B girls, writers, and MCs. They're dope. All female squad. They're dope.
Right, and then you mentioned Lady Jewel, right? Correct.
Yes, Lady Jewel's, you know, another mid to late 90s B girl. Also, she actually had a movie. She actually starred in a movie called B Girl.
Oh, that's what's up. I didn't even know there was a thing.
Yeah.
See, learn something new every day. A movie called B Girl. Check that out. And Honey Rockwell was another name we mentioned.
Yes, Honey Rockwell, who's been putting in work for a long time. Her and her husband, you know, from
quick. Pardon self. Someone asks, what is the name of the B girl that got some info at her IG?
I know if you type in her story, it's on there. I forget the exact name, but if you type in on the search her story, it should show up.
Okay, I'll try to put it up for her and for them. Thank you.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then what did you say? Asia One from MZK.
Asia One from MZK. She also started the B-Boy Summit with Easy Rock back in like the early to mid 90s or whatever. It's known as one of the biggest, longest running B-Boy events in the culture. It's a great event.
All right.
You know, where they've gotten people from all over the world to battle, compete, panel discussions, you know, building, all types of stuff.
Okay. And bienvenido a la hermana China de Uruguay. Estamos hablando de los big girls de la primera días de hip hop ahora, Zulu Queen, Sha Rock, Headspin Janet, Baby Love, Bambi, Dulce. Era de primera años de 70, 79, 80. Eres la big girl que estaba haciéndolo. You know, que es nombres que, you know, gente conocen o no conocen, que es importante, está hablando ahora.
Also, B-Girl Dee, Bunny Lee, who was Jimmy Lee, who started Rocksteady, his girlfriend. There was a B-Girl named Trina.
All right. That's good stuff. And who's some here? Somebody said Kim from Dynamic Doll. They performed at Reagan inauguration, 85. She was in Italy, 86. Spreading breaking, unsung hero, trying to search more of her. Have become a good friend. Thank you, brother Stretch, for that information. Dope stuff.
She, you know, I think about it, she's actually on Facebook.
All right. That's what's up.
You guys can still hear me? You can still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Another big girl I didn't hear y'all mention is Rockefeller.
Yeah, we mentioned Rock.
We mentioned Rock today. I got her on the list, but we didn't today. I have her right under Asia One. But yes, thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man.
All right. No, this is good stuff.
Got her, Miss Twist. Miss Twist is another one.
Ooh, yeah, Miss Twist was
Miss Twist is another one. You can't forget her.
That's
Yaya
Twist.
Yaya from Domestic Apes is another one.
Abigail,
that's right.
Yeah, this Rockefeller book right here, she wrote this joint. This joint tough.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we B girls ain't tough.
We B girls. That's what's up.
We
want to know more.
We should definitely do a whole thing on B girls.
I agree. I agree. Like I told you, I want to add it to our page. We got female MCs there. I want to add
Oh
it to the
yeah,
page
B.
because B girls are queens of hip hop as well. So let's build on that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
but another
Yeah.
one to add to that list is Lady Champ from Chicago.
Yeah, Lady Champ.
All right.
That's another one right
Love
there
it.
to add to that list.
Dope.
No,
Dope.
who else? I'm trying to think of who else. My homegirl Aiko, she's a locker from Cali.
All
Mm-hmm.
right.
Aiko, yes. Who else? Oh man.
I mean, now, just now, there's so many new B girls.
Oh yeah.
Especially
Now
in
they
Japan,
say that
like
definitely.
Japan, like the B girls in Japan, they're no joke. There's
Oh yeah,
B
man.
girl, B girl Tara. Like I don't know, what is she, like 10 years old, and she's
Mm-hmm.
just taking dudes out.
Yeah, so for those that don't follow us yet on Instagram at Chosen Zulu 2020, we've been sharing a lot of B-boy and B-girl information. We link you directly to their Instagram so you can connect with them directly. They're always appreciative of followers and supporters and people that share. So again, you can check Chosen Zulu 2020 on Instagram. We've been sharing a lot of B-boy, B-girl information, and I love especially sharing the B-girls because they're unsung. And like I said, it's not just that they're dope for females, but they got their own original style and swagger and flavor and techniques. And it's always a joy to watch and share. So check that out.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, so we want to definitely get through. Again, this is the introduction to some stuff. So we will be putting these kind of lists together. And I will be, doing what we can, sort of like the female MCs, where we'll find pictures of each of the B girls, label it, and then put it up with a link to their wiki or their website page or their Instagram if they have it, so we can try to connect you guys to it. So as you can see, we had a basic list, and as we do this and have these discussions, we add to the list and we start putting more names on it, and then we'll start putting them in the errors where they belong, so that way we can see how these later errors were influenced by the earlier errors and how it evolved over time. You feel me? Great stuff. Love it.
Yeah,
Keep it
man.
coming.
I think
All right,
another
so-
one too.
Yeah.
Chris, is Pebbly Pooh.
Yep, Pebbly Pooh.
Was she a
Pebbly
big
Pooh.
girl too? You did mention that yesterday, but I
Yeah.
know her as
Yeah.
an MC. I didn't know her as a big girl.
Yeah,
That's
Pebbly
what's
Pooh.
up.
She had mentioned that she used to throw down too.
Yeah.
That's what's
As a
up.
matter of fact, Pluto, I found that out on your site.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, all right.
Found that out
What's
on
up?
your site, yo.
All right. See, that's how
Yeah, I
you
think
do it,
Pebbly
man.
Pooh used to get. Yeah, Pebbly Pooh used to watch her get down too. She do her thing.
All right, that's what's up. And also, quick mention: the brother Jason Kirkman, who you see speaking, is also one of the former panelists that we have featured. He wrote the book Off Stage, the hip hop elements before the culture. I'm probably saying that a little bit wrong, but you can get it at soultrustrecords.com. It's all about the early days of the culture, what happened before the culture, how the Bronx was sort of shaped and created into this cradle that made it necessary for something like hip hop to be born as a reaction
that
to what
research
we
is
didn't have.
incredible. That research is
so
incredible.
definitely get that. It's a PDF book, soultrustrecords.com. It's called Off Stage. Check that out if you don't got it. And thank you, brother Jason, for joining us today. Always appreciate your presence.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for that. Appreciate that, man. It's
All
all for
right,
hip hop.
all right.
Y'all know what it is, man. Y'all know what it is.
Yes, sir. That's what we doing. That's why it's a we thing.
All right.
Yo,
all right.
I would like to add his book to my throwdown page, my K1138 throwdown / soul page. So that's something that I could add that too, because a lot of individuals in the scene, even if they underground, I support them. Those are the ones you don't sleep on, so
Definitely.
yeah.
And like I said, it's a good book. Like, it's the kind of stuff that we have heard about over the years, but in order to find that information, like I said before, you'd have to search on YouTube and the internet for days to find it. He put it all together in one book with very, easy to understand information. So it's a great resource for that kind of knowledge. A few people said they're going to use it for their college dissertations and shit. So it's real like that. You know what I mean?
They definitely should. They definitely should.
Yeah, man.
All right. So real quick, looking at the sort of the errors and the things we were talking about, we had discussed up to, probably about 78, 79. We talked about what was happening. And again, we can't go through everything and everybody, but we want to name some of the groups that were prevalent, some of the individuals that were prevalent in these times. So, I know around 79, the late 70s, early 80s is when we started to hear more about Rocksteady, right? Tell us a little bit about Rocksteady and the birth of that and how it came about.
Well, there's two versions of it. You have rocks. I for clarification, I acknowledge them as either Rocksteady 79 or Rocksteady TBB. That way, people understand that there was a Rocksteady before what they know, what the world knows as Rocksteady Crew.
Correct.
Now, if
That's why we talk about
now
it.
that word crew is crucial. When I mention Rocksteady or Rocksteady 79 or Rocksteady TBB, there's no crew in it. That means we're talking about the 70s version of it that came from TBB, which later on became Rocksteady Crew in 1980 to like close to 81, which Legs and Ken Swift and brothers like Frosty Freed,
Right.
that really, really like took it out, like just made it popular,
Right.
the media, they just, they were one. They were one of the crews that, took it to that level or whatever, whatnot. Yeah, they did their thing, they started around again, like late 80, 81. When it was, Jimmy Lee passed it on down to Legs. And then Legs, he ran with it, and then, they created what they created.
Right. So basically, and just to clarify, the Rocksteady Crew was born out of TBB. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So TBB, we have to remember TBB, and again, what does that stand for?
The Bronx Boys.
And that was founded by who?
It was originally the TBB Rocking Crew was founded in 1975 by Batch. Before that, they were a graph crew. It was Shark.
Graph, as in graffiti.
Yeah, it was Shark, and I can't remember the two other brothers. It was by three writers. They slowly stopped, slowed down with writing. And then Batch, wanted, to make them into like a rocking crew. So then, that's where the rocking crew came. So he's responsible for turning it into a rocking crew, because you got guys like, have you ever seen Star Wars? Remember Cap? Cap's first crew was TBB.
All right.
So there, I have pictures. I have pictures of it, and then there was like a write-up that he wrote about, and he tagged up TBB, and he talked about how he used to get up with Batch and those guys or whatever, whatnot. Back then, they were hitting a lot of the buses. They were tagging up a lot of the buses, and hitting certain walls and all that stuff. But yeah,
Right.
that's
And just to say clearly, Batch. That's BATCH. If you search or Google him, check on Google or YouTube, Batch TBB history, you can actually hear him telling you the story himself.
And then also there's a TBB history page on Facebook.
Right. Yes, correct. All right. So we got to plug that because these are sources. So from TBB, originally Legs was part of TBB, or the Rocksteady part of TBB?
Legs was in TBB and also Rockwell Association.
Right. Okay. And then from there, when they passed it down, Legs was what kind of brought it into Rocksteady Crew, and that became
when they went to Manhattan.
Right. All right. And then so there, of course, there was a famous rivalry between the Rocksteady Crew and New York City Breakers. So a lot of us know those names. But again, in this time period, 80s, what were some of the other crews, groups, or B-boys and B-girls that were prominent in this era?
You have the Furious Rockers. You have the Dynamic Breakers. You have K1's crew, the Swift Kids.
Kids, all right, that's what's up.
You had even Rockwell was still, doing their thing, for a little bit. The interesting thing about like, I would say Rocksteady in New York City Breakers is some of those guys are former TBB members. Some of those guys are former Rocksteady members. Some of those guys are former. Those crews, they interchanged.
Right.
Members interchange and all that. And then, you have like Little Lip, who had his own crew before he was New York City Breakers or whatever, whatnot. So you know, by the 80s, things, you know, started to go over it, you know, in the other boroughs, you know, like Dynamic, you know, and then, you know, K's crew, the Swift Kids, you know, they're based out of Queens, you know.
Okay, so real quick,
and Queens started taking things to the next level with a lot of the air moves, you know.
Queens in the house.
Right.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So hold on, real quick. So we talked about how people were sort of interchanging, going from one group to the other. What was sort of the method for somebody to get down with a b-boy crew? Like, was it initiation, a battle? Like, what did you have to do?
Well, there's you know, some of b-boying culture, you know, is a mockery of you know, street culture. So the colors, you know, your colors were, you know, the name of your crew on the back of your shirt, you know, sort of like the cuts and all that stuff. And then, you know, the equivalent of Apache line, some would argue that it was like a lot of times you battled to get in a crew. So it was something where, you know, like you have like say you have like a crew like Incredible Breakers, which was a dope crew from the 80s. And they all kind of have their roots in late 70s too. And they see you and they say, yo, this dude has potential, or he's nice, or he's got something that we don't have. So some crews would just put you down, and some cats you would battle to get in. You know, a lot of people still carry the tradition in, like, okay, you're down, but in order, you know, to officially get down, you got to battle it. But back then, it was a little bit different. If you didn't hold your own, like Legs, like for instance, Legs had to battle. He had to battle to get in to TBB. You know, a lot of crews, you know, back then, you know, like the late 70s, early 80s, you had to battle to get in. And sometimes you didn't make it. Sometimes you like, you know what, come back. Or, you know, sometimes, you know, they were like, all right, you know, you got heart. So yeah, there was like an initiation / like way of entering the crew. But if you were real nice, you know, some dudes just got passes. But there had to be something special about you. And in some cases you went to them, in some cases they went to you. But if they went to you, that was like the greatest honor, because they look at it as, yo, this dude is nice. Let's add him to the squad. We add him to the squad. He's an addition to what we already have.
Right. So in some cases, I've heard stories where it might be something like, let's say, just for example, I'll make it up. You know, more specifically about the battle. But let's say somebody from the New York City Breakers group battled the Rockwell Association, and then the New York City Breakers, let's say in this particular battle, they basically whipped the Rockwell Association's ass. But there's this one dude in the Rockwell Association that's real nice, and that might be like, yo, you nice, you want to get down with us. So I've heard in some cases stories like that where they actually beat your crew in the battle, but they thought you were so nice, they offer you an opportunity to get down with them.
Yeah. And some people stole crew members from other crews.
Right. I'm sure. But see, this is key. Asa, you might remember one time we went to I believe it was a Zulu picnic, and we was building with the young brother. I think he was about 14, 15, Smirk or Smiley, something like that. And everybody was saying he was nice with the b-boying, and Crazy
Brother
Legs
Smirk,
yes. And Crazy
Smirk.
Legs was there, so they was talking about he should get down with Rocksteady, but he got a battle to get in, and we got to witness this young brother Smirk battle Crazy Legs in order to get into the Rocksteady, and it was one of those memories I'll never forget. Yeah. This kid was like 14 years old.
Yeah, he was in
right. He definitely held his own, and he did his thing.
Smirk is that dude though. Smirk is that dude.
Smirk is dope.
Yes.
He was in the Ready to Rock crew.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Smirk
He was in the Ready to Rock crew before that.
Right.
Yeah.
And for me, that was sort of the event where he was nice with his, but that event was sort of like his coming out party. When he showed he could hold his own versus Crazy Legs, it was like, all right, dude, you nice, especially for a youngin'. I think he was like 14 years old, something like that at the time. So love and respect to Smirk. I'll never forget that moment. But
yes,
these are the things that's part of the culture. Go ahead.
It was an honor to be in his rings and you know, around him. And we went a couple of places where there was a couple of events that he was doing his thing, you know. Mm-hmm. So much honor and salute to him.
Definitely. He's still doing his thing.
I'm pretty sure, man, if you could reach out to him and send him an invitation, tell him his chosen family gives him much love and support, and we here, you know.
Yeah, he's out in Vegas.
Info.
He's no longer in Rocksteady, but he's out in Vegas.
Right.
Okay,
That's what's up.
Definitely.
All right. So yeah, so we're talking about who these groups were, so we can give names to them. Like I said, too many of us know about Rocksteady in New York City, so I want to give light and shine, to other people, especially that came after. So who were some of the groups that came after? Let's say between 85, 89, or 90. Some of the groups or events or people.
One group that two groups that don't get known as much is Furious, which is based out of Brooklyn. They're actually
that's just Furious or Furious Crew.
Furious Rockers.
Okay,
Furious Rockers. They actually did. I remember when I was a kid, I begged my mom to stay up late because on Channel 7 they had a dance special with Fred Astaire. And he was doing all of these dancing and all these things, the influence of what's going on in the past and today. And one of the people that he interviewed, it's on YouTube, he had the Furious Rockers up there. So, the Furious Rockers was on there. They were doing their thing or whatever, whatnot. They were, they did their thing in the 80s or whatever, whatnot. Those who know, the old school cats who know, they were around. And then you have incredible breakers who, they were real dope. They had a lot of dope people in their crew. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this dude German who was known for having great air moves, he was one of the members in there. And then there was Float, and then there was Brian, and his brother. The Incredible Breaker dudes were dope. They were actually an offshoot. They were actually originally members of New York City Breakers, and then they broke off and did their thing because New York City Breakers was half Bronx and half Bronx and half Manhattan. But Incredible was really more like the Bronx version of those dudes, and they went off and then they created their own thing, whatever, whatnot. They, it wasn't just New York City Breakers. Wasn't just Rocksteady, who were a problem. Incredible was a problem too.
Right. Okay. So I was able to pull up the Furious Rockers as an example here, so you can see his jacket, the crew. They were legit, a name that you don't hear very often. So not only do you hear the name here, but you can see that they actually existed. And like he said, DJ Cooley D, Midnight Rockers, Dynamic Rockers, Mastermind Rockers, Furious Rockers, a lot of them went to a lot of different crews and, sort of evolved with their style and moved around. And it's sort of like MMA is today. Where sometimes you might learn as much as you can from one crew, and then you go on to the next crew to learn some other stuff, another style like they do today. Yes or no?
Yeah.
They got another crew. I don't know if y'all mentioned them. That was also known. I could give headaches with Scrambling Feet.
Yes, Scrambling Feet.
They were another
dope.
crew.
Yep.
They were over there in Lower East Side, and also they had another chapter there in Queens. And also they had a lot of crews that was like underground. That were like threats. They might not have. They have individuals in the crew that could stand out more than others. Those are the ones that don't care about the being on camera, taking pictures. They don't care about none of that stuff. All they know is that when it comes down to getting busy, they're gonna make you look bad.
Yeah, they came there to smoke you. And
they're not coming there to play with you, bro.
AK, this is another thing a lot of people really didn't connect is there was a crew called Scrambling Feet from over in York in the 90s. I don't know the connection. And when I first saw them on Battle of the Year, I was like, hold up, like, is this Scrambling Feet from back in the day?
But the original ones,
the original ones are the originals from out over here. But
That's what's up. That's another name I never really hear.
Because you gotta remember too, you got a lot of crews like later on, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, a lot of them don't do their homework. And they start using the name of crews that was already. Look at Magnificent Force. Magnificent Force. I see a dude, they got a kid out there. They got a crew out there called Magnificent Force. They got a kid called Fast Break. I'm like, yo, these kids ain't doing their homework.
They got a kid called Spy. There's a kid called Spy. Dude. There's a kid called Trace. And I'm looking at these dudes and like,
these kids don't do their research, man.
No, that's the problem.
They don't do their research.
But you see, this is why.
And that's the way I was raised in this. And that's the way I was raised in this. Like simultaneously as I'm learning to dance, I'm doing research. You know,
Right.
so people say, well, I can't, I can't get any information. I'm like, that's a bunch of bull, man, because I learned, most of the information and all this stuff and how I got a good portion of this, there wasn't even any internet.
True.
So, and that's the problem with a lot of cats, they want it to fall into their lap. And it's like, yo, like, if you really have to learn the history, because it affects the way you look at this. It affects the way you dance. It affects the way you approach this. It affects the way you want to be seen. It affects the way you want to, how you want to like look when you dance.
Hey, I got a quick question. How do you feel? Because this is really important to me with the Olympics kind of starting to kind of look like they want to grab a hold of our dance.
Yeah.
What is the significance? I'm wondering this is why I want to do what we're doing, so we can set a precedent on who needs to be judging, who needs to be teaching, and who needs to be et cetera, whatever. That's my main goal with all this, man.
Let me chime in on that too as well, brothers.
I've gotten approached by a few people, about, putting some stuff together as far as that. So there are people in the works of doing that. And there is a Brother Moy from having Coral out in Texas. They're doing like preliminaries right now for the Olympics, for, to have, U.S. representation, for that. But first, before all that, I would have to say, I would have to throw this in there somewhere in that lines. They need somebody like K1 involved in that somewhere in there. That's just how important he is to all of this. So
what we gotta do is, but the brothers in here too, TBB cats that are in here too. This is what I'm talking about. Y'all, we need to let everybody know that y'all and we or whatever need to be.
Well, Stretch is doing that.
Word.
Stretch is doing that as we speak. Stretch is doing that as we speak. He's been doing that for almost close to a year now.
Because that's really important to me, man. How our element of b-boy and our culture is represented is very important to me going into the future, man.
Yeah.
Let me chime in real quick, fellas. First and foremost, congratulations. I mean the most sincere, most empowering congratulations for your work, for all of our work. All of us being able to make the time just to be here to have this conversation. I've been listening very intently, learning each step of the way. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate and want to continue to carry this on. But real quickly, that Olympics conversation is something that myself and Prism have been talking about for quite some time now. One of my specialties comes from my development and research and helping building the Temple of Hip Hop, right? The institutional authority on hip hop. Earlier, I would feel remiss if I didn't do this real quick. If I didn't do this real quick, I would feel remiss if I didn't. So I want all of y'all to, as we start continuing to spread information and talk, it's important that we speak with grounded voices. I'll say that, not just one voice, but just grounded voices.
Absolutely.
And so in my efforts, I have also been a major contributor to the gospel of hip hop, right? The gospel of hip hop. This is the work that KRS did more for the members of the Temple of Hip Hop, but it's applicable beyond and throughout our culture. But in it, we did a great deal of research. And one, when it comes to breaking, let's try to remember this, and you'll see this as we go into the future, and I'm gonna hit this other point, but just really quick. Breaking, the study and application of street dance forms, originally called the go-off, breaking and or boy yang yang. Breaking is commonly called breakdancing or b-boying today, and it now includes the once independent dance forms up rockin', poppin', lockin', jailhouse, or slap boxing. double Dutch, electric boogie, and capoeira martial arts. Of course, it goes on. And we would love to further our conversations, but I just point your attention to this because a lot of this research has been culminated and canonized so that it can grow from the kind of soil and root that we are all speaking about. And when it comes to that Olympics conversation, we must be involved. Hip hop's citizens must be involved because they're going to take the commercialization of our entire culture much further than what we've seen happening in rap music. So it's people like us who are the guardians of such information and such ethics that we must be the voices, or we will only sit back and wonder why it didn't happen or something that could have happened better. Let's be the ones that say, yep, we came together as a group and we endorsed, maybe put out some trials, do some trials, whatever, but more or less be that voice about speaking about why people should be and what is the credentialing to be certified to teach in any of these categories or any of our 9 elements that hip hop has been evolved from our culture, so to speak. But I cannot congratulate y'all enough. I would like for this conversation also to become a part of our discussion for Hip Hop Appreciation Week. This is seminal type of conversation, historic type of organization that we're doing right now. So I just want to pass that on and see what y'all brothers think about that.
Definitely. I think that's why this conversation that we're having is so important. Like we sort of alluded to in the beginning, the difference between, b-boying and breaking and break dancing. And we were talking, Pluto and I, also about what are they going to do in the Olympics? Is it just going to be b-boying, or are they going to be doing some popping and locking and whatnot also? And this is why having this conversation, and like I told Pluto and we've said, you said before, Malik, also, when we start having a conversation, we start inspiring other people to start having this conversation. And that's sort of what we're doing now, because I don't think these people really know the difference between breaking and break dancing. And it's not until we make this a more common conversation that we can do that.
You're definitely right about that, because for like the past year and change, the conversations that I've had with various people or been talked to with various people and guys who potentially could be like the trainers for the American participants in the whole 9. It's pretty much going to be all of the spins and the gymnastics stuff or whatnot. So that's what it's pretty much going to look. How much of the dance is going to be incorporated? Who knows? That's another subject. But the more dynamic stuff is going to be prominent, the more athletic stuff. But you cannot separate, the dance aspects. But we also know as a culture and breaking that the dance aspect is something like, if they don't see it and recognize it in the Olympics, we're still going to be doing this, over here. So it's not going to really kill. It's not going to kill it like it did, like in the 80s and all that stuff, because there are other people that are like, so like purist and want to like just keep it about the dance and keep it about that. So you still have that. Time will tell, eventually, but that's kind of the direction that things are going towards. But one thing I will say about the Olympics, no matter what it looks like, this is something that I've always said, and recently, it's going to take a lot of the burn out of gymnasts. You're going to see a lot of kids who grew up being gymnasts want to be B-boys and B-girls. Because I've seen B-girls who do dynamic and more gymnastics moves way more harder and complex than the most achieved gold medalist male on the floor.
True.
We physically and we physically outshine them. Talking to talking to one of the DJs who did the preliminaries for the Youth Olympics, everybody who was participating in the Youth Olympics, they rushed all of their competitions so they could get a seat to watch the B-boy battle. That's how big this is. Right. Everybody's going to be talking about B-boy in the Olympics. That's all they're going to talk about, because it is, nobody trains harder than a B-boy. I've played football. I've played sports. Nobody trains harder than me. Not to mention the fact that most of these practitioners train and compete and battle, hurt, and still perform and you would never know. I see sports athletes get a little ankle sprain or broken bone, they stop. I've danced with broken bones.
Mhm.
And that's just the passion from that. If you can keep that passion, but we have to have, and this is why the education of this information is so important, because we don't want to, like the brother said, we don't want this to turn around and look like something like totally different. And then all of a sudden Justin Timberlake is like, the poster child for breaking. Not on my watch.
That's real though. He right, yo. That's real. That's personally.
Watch.
That's personally what
that's
I'm trying.
That's why I do what I do, and I say I will take the Pepsi challenge against anybody on the planet Earth. You can get all the experts that you want. I will challenge anybody to dispute my history and my information. I'll go against anybody. I don't care who you are.
I feel you. And Brother Quan, you have something to say real quick on the subject?
Yeah, I was gonna mention the brother I was talking before about the topic that he wanted to bring up. Well, one thing I like about what he was mentioning is that it's this. As far as dealing with the Olympics, a lot of these individuals who they're gonna have, you gotta remember this. A lot of these young kids do not know a lot of these old school cats. They do not know them. So as far as homework wise, they're only gonna go by he say, she say. In other words, I heard that kid before, but I never heard him. I never seen him do nothing. So to them, they're not looking to take any of them serious.
Right.
So a lot of these dances that you see these kids are doing right now, all this crazy stuff, that's what's eye-catching to people. Then you do have a lot of individuals that's so cool that don't support a lot of these young cats, that badmouth them. And then the reason why it goes back and forth, why a lot of these young kids don't respect a lot of the old school cats, because you got to look at this. Consistency. If you ask a cat from the 70s, when's the last time you got down? Oh shit, babe. I only did that for like about 2-3 years between 76 to 79. And then what you do after that? Nothing. What you do in the 80s? Nothing. What you do in the 90s? Nothing. What you do in 2000? Maybe after 2006, it started to stretch a little. Oh shit, look at how much this thing is trying to be put on blast and blowing up more. Now all of a sudden these dinosaurs want to start coming out of nowhere. And then they'd be like, yo, let me get a piece of the action too. They're not gonna take you serious. So to me, it's like I don't diss anyone who came before me, them 70 cats or whatever, because to me, they're like the push-ups to me. Whatever it is I end up doing, I represent them and then everybody else that goes after. That's what I look at it as. But to me, it's like this. How often do you go out to support them when they're at jams? Are you there helping them? No. Are you teaching them throwdowns? No. Are you giving them any kind of guidance as far as with moves and history? No. But you're quick to complain. Why is that?
All of those things K1 has been doing for the past 30 years, by the way. Okay.
You gotta remember.
Some of the best B-boys and some of the most groundbreaking level pushing B-boys that you've seen in the past 30 years have come through his doors and his teaching. So this man deserves a seat in some capacity with the Olympics. That's my choice.
We need to push it and let everybody know that. And that's word.
Exactly.
We need to get on that.
Yeah, but you know what it is though too. But this is on the real. You got to remember this though, and I know you can relate to this because you're old enough to. Favoritism. You got a lot of snakes that's gonna say this and that, and they're gonna want this one and that one. Like hook your homeboy up. Just like with MCs back in the days when it came to being involved with money, who could outshine who can do what behind your back. It still goes on like that to this very day.
And you know what? It's ugly. I think it's uglier now too. Yep.
Yes. Yes. See, it's so ugly that it's true.
Yep.
That's spelling facts with all capitals. That's basically what that boils down to. The truth hurts.
One way that we can counter that is by coming with a platform of like an ethics committee, right? See, when we present ourselves as the standard bearers of not just these elements, but our culture, our community, and the citizens. And therefore, we have to be very mindful about the images and the messages that we're sending in this kind of an atmosphere. And so one of the best ways that we can position ourselves is as an ethics committee that makes certain, right? That makes certain that what we are discussing is carried out.
You know what? It's funny you say that. I just saw a post today about a committee that is doing that for breaking with, because a lot of craziness has been going on with breaking, with a lot of, sexual harassment and all that. And it's like, and I think it was like the committees, trying to like legalize, make a committee that's legal that says B-boys policing B-boys, with ethics and all of that stuff, and all of that stuff is involved. Something like that just jumped off like in a matter of hours ago that they're pushing because there was a problem. There was a problem with one of the guys who they found out he was, he got, there's talk of him sexually harassing people and the whole night. And then, you have the thing that went on with legs and all that stuff. And everything's turned upside down. So a lot of things are coming out. So a lot of things are being cleansed before this. So the chances of the Olympics is not, nobody wants anybody who's not properly representing the, the culture.
Exactly. And not properly vetted and credentialed, right?
Yeah.
Properly vetted and properly credentialed, and not just in the field of entertainment. This is a message we can drive home. I'm telling you, we can drive.
That's the paramount. That's the paramount of. That's the paramount thing. Of character. Like when the lights are out, and when you're at home or when you're on the block and all that stuff, whatnot. It's about carrying that. If you have those instilled at home and all that stuff, that translates to everything. That's the root. When you when you get it from the root, everything else translates, and then the tree grows out the right way it's supposed to grow. It doesn't grow crooked; it grows straight.
True.
Man,
real quick.
You know what it is, though?
Let brother Fats comment real quick. He's been wanting to comment. Go ahead, Fats.
Oh, it's all good. I just wanted to say that back in the day, we did a B-boy battle with Norfolk State a long time ago. We brought Pop Master Fable down. And before any B-boy could be in that battle, I mean, yes, of course, you had to pay the money to qualify to get in it, but you had to come to the daytime little conference that we had teaching the culture. And if we didn't check your name and you didn't come to that part of the event, you couldn't be in the battle. You know what I mean? Right. And so I'm proposing that maybe something in the future. We got the ethics committee. We're starting to talk. And the ethics committee is coming up. We get that coming on. But in B-boy battles in the future, just the awareness of us in these things need to be brought to the battles as a whole. Also, I also just wanted to say that since also B-boying is starting to be put into the Olympics, we need to make it a sport all year round where B-boys can be financially compensated, where B-boying can be a career. That needs
I've been, that's what, brothers like Stretch and a few other people are pushing, talking to, some people, and that's the direction that, we're trying to push, to make money off of this, because it's crazy because I've been seeing since the 90s, Nike sponsoring all these B-boy battles over in the U.S. They've never sponsored a B-boy situation in the U.S. ever. They've been sponsoring Nike's been sponsoring B-boy events since like '93. Never once have they got a B-boy or a crew or an event in the U.S.
Right. So real quick.
I didn't know that.
Right.
And then just one more thing. Just one more thing. And this is what we discussed. And B-boy is the first American art form that has been accepted in the Olympics. The first.
Right.
No one else can claim that.
True. So, and again, when he mentioned it yesterday, I was like, yeah, because the Olympics comes from Greek times and whatnot. So a lot of those things are standard. This is something that we created and we're bringing to it. But with all this being said, and I don't want to get too far into the Olympics conversation, but this is why we thought it was important to start having a fundamentals of B-boy history conversation, to start implementing this, because in order for our kids to go to the Olympics with this standard in their minds, somebody like us has to teach them. Like the brother Fat said, this is sort of our introduction to b-boying conversation, to start getting these kids that are just dancing and mimicking what they're seeing on TV to start understanding the history behind it and the science behind it. And this is why this conversation is part of that Olympic conversation, but this is the foundation. In order to understand the Olympic conversation, let's understanding what b-boying really is. And with that, I'd like to hear from Brother Stretch real quick. Go ahead.
Speak, bro.
Go ahead, brother.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to chip in on that topic because I got a little bit of experience on it. I don't want to harp too much and divert the convo, but I'm the president of the sport in South Africa for the moment, and I've had a deep look at what's going on behind the scenes. I'm not very happy with what's going on. I've talked to Pluto and a lot of other important guys about trying to help and get ownership of the dance back to the creators, the pioneers, and their students and their pedigree. I mean, I got this document right here. This is the syllabus that the World Dance Sport Federation put out for hip hop, and this is not a penny of this has gone to any pioneers of hip hop that created it. Not a penny of this has gone into any of you guys or your friends. And the words and materials in here were created by you and your friends. And I had a big problem with that. And so I've been working on something that's going to try and take the power back, but I do need a lot of help. I need a lot of powerful people to come on board. And, you know, if you see who's talking about making the judging and the certification systems now, is a chap from UK who he's not recognized as a person in UK. You know, he's got a lot of bad blood in UK from actual pioneers, and these are the kind of people that have a hold of it now, and it's not looking good in my opinion. We've got our foot in the door, but I would love you guys to reach out with me, and Malik, Jay.
Definitely. I mean, this is why we're doing this. Again, we want to have a hip hop culture collective of our own that's a representative force. So when we see people like that doing, we're not just coming with one group or one organization, we're coming with a dozen or 24 organizations and experts and specialists and historians that can say this is what it needs to be. And if you don't do it according to these standards, we can't endorse it. And we'll just create, like, you know, I was talking about with Pluto and KRS and Malik, Sir Malik have said, our own hip hop Olympics. So that way we can start governing it the way it's supposed to be. So definitely, I want you to be part of what we're doing. I want us to be a part of what you're doing. Thank you. That's the firsthand kind of information that we need to know and understand and experience, especially from different places in the world, because hip hop is not just America. It's not just New York. We're international. And
it's a global
brothers
phenomenon.
are building, right, and brothers are building companies overseas in other countries with our information, gathering funding and sponsoring shit and not giving a dime to the educators or the creators, the pioneers or the icons or the innovators. Like when we go through the history, we're not just talking about the pioneers. In each era, there was icons and innovators and people that brought it up to the next level and introduced it to a new community and added new style and flavor and techniques. It's important for us to be in charge of this story. This is why we're doing this today. Thank you, brothers, for joining us and participating. These are the things that, again, this is just an introduction conversation, but these are the things that our Hip Hop Culture Collective will have deeper conversations on and then iron out the next conferences, the next presentation where we can get into more detail with that. Thank you, brothers. Brother Tito, go ahead. Tito Fist, Iron Fist Rivera.
Word. Thank you. I got it. So when I heard this brother, I believe if I'm not mistaken, he's from South Africa. He was just speaking.
Yeah, Brother Stretch TBB, yes.
Yeah, I just felt compelled with everything I've heard. This has been a wonderful, beautiful, amazing conversation. I hope that before we all go, we get a pen and paper out, a notepad, and we write down what we're going to do now and when we're going to get it done and who's doing what.
Right.
But when he mentioned we need people of power to help, you know, Prism, and some people know here, but before I was a Panther, before I was a Young Lord, even before I was a Zulu, I loved hip hop. I loved the culture. And every community I moved through, I sought to help inspire my peers and those in all the elements to believe in themselves, to believe in their neighborhood, and to believe in their dreams. And so I just wanted to voice that I am here, and I know there are others here who want to see the resources and the training necessary to empower y'all, to help y'all manifest your fullest realization of your vision for what you're working on can happen. So please let Prism know immediately or after this call if there's any specific, measurable, realistic goals that you have that you would like to see the Chosen Network leadership team sit down and strategize on helping you accomplish in the near term. All power to the people.
Definitely. Much appreciated, much respect. And like he said, it's true. Chosen Networks is an international collective of people like us, minds like ours, where we're getting together to promote the programs and the services and the knowledge that we all offer, but also, like I said before, to form this collective that can start to speak on behalf of the people. And if you know other people that are doing things or teaching things or, you know, representing this kind of thing, invite them to join us, because this is not about a Zulu thing. This is, like he said, the hip hop nation. This is an international movement, and we're doing this on behalf of ownership of our culture and making sure that it's passed down to the next generation the right way. And if the institutions won't do it, that's okay. We're going to take advantage of social media and technology and do it like we're doing it today, and start streaming it on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitch, on Twitter, on TikTok, and whatever platforms we need. Because again, back in the day, we used to hand it out, the flyers in the streets, and bring them to the party. Now, social media is the streets where we got to reach. Go ahead, brother.
Well, one of the things, you know, that is in motion for what we're doing, you know, to solidify the history and all of that stuff is the history that I've been presenting has a very strong possibility that's going to be in the museum, and then on top of that, one of some of my research is being used for a documentary for Netflix, and then the documentary I'm working with Doug might be a strong possibility that it might be shown on HBO. The one we've been working on. So and then the next step after that is to write a book on all of that.
Definitely.
So my Instagram and my Facebook page is to give people a glimpse of what I'm up to and what I'm involved in and what I'm doing. It's kind of like, you know, like a transcript to what the future of what's going to go on, you know, to go with it. So, you know, I feel that, you know, a lot of, you know, I don't consider myself a historian. I don't call myself that, but I see a lot of people that are historians, you know, that do documentation. A lot of those guys, they have documentaries that have never come out, that they've been doing documentaries since 93, 95, and they haven't finished them. And the people of those subject matter are now dead. And they've never gotten to even see their clips, much less see what these people have put out. My whole thing is everything that everybody does when they do documentation, I do the opposite. So if everybody's going to the left, I'm going to the right. And I'll continue to do that, because, you know, I almost lost my life twice in a year. But if I were to go tomorrow, there would be something there. You know, what I did was, what I put out, I wanted somebody, you know, I want to do my own documentary solely with me, but there are other people that step and say, you know, would you want to be involved with this based off of stuff you're doing? I'm like, okay, good. But another thing is, I don't want to see what happened with like the Get Down, because the guy who produced the Get Down, they came to me about 3 or 4 years before they ever even talked about it ever being in existence, and they asked, well, we're doing this thing, we're doing this docudrama, we want to know if we can use some of your information for that. So my mentality is like, okay, no problem, you know, this is a step in the right direction, you know, because this is going to stimulate all of that stuff. I would say, you know, from the B-boy perspective, they could have done a lot better. I give respect to all the dudes who got a check for being in the show, but I mean, they could have done so much better. And I no longer want to see that anymore.
Right. Right. No, and again, that's one of those things that I saw. I was impressed by the quality of the production, but I felt like, damn, I wish we could be telling our story. You know, I wish we could be putting it together. But again, this is why getting key individuals like ourselves together is key, because when we connect with, you know, like we're connected with a few directors and documentary specialists that have been doing things, when we get together and show them the power and the impact of our story and our knowledge, this is what we're leading to. You feel me? This is what we're working towards.
Like
right
how
now.
they did with the museum.
Exactly. And again, we're going to be working with them on that too, to make sure we get our say on what's happening. And again, they appreciate it. They're already loving what we're doing here. Some of them might be in the room now where they're watching and understanding that we're already a little bit ahead of the curve on some areas, you know. So with that being said, to go back real quick, is there any other iconic or important information about B-Boys or the culture, or important individuals or groups that you think is important for people to know, or events or websites that you think is important for people to know about or be aware of?
Yes.
Oh, and real quick, your Instagram. You said your Instagram, but what is it? Tell them where to find you.
It's Pluto-7 Goonage.
7 spelled out, or the number?
The number 7.
Pluto-7 Goonage. Goonage.
Yes. That's it.
All right.
But the important thing is the foundation of hip hop culture is B-boy. There is no rapper more hip hop than the B-boys. None of them. You cannot separate. You cannot sit here and say, you know, I see people say, well, you know, if you really know your hip hop, and I'm like, if you know your real hip hop, you know this KRS-One song, you know this Rockin' song. I'm like, do you know who Batch is? Do you know who Spy is? Do you know who Track is? Do you know who Rockwell Association is? But you're calling yourself hip hop. See, I'm very, very, very hardcore when it comes to this. The foundation of hip hop was started on B-boys. You take B-boys out, no sneakers.
May I add on?
You absolutely.
I just want to add on right quick, and to add on to that, when you look at Burn, Yes, Y'all, it's a book Charlie Ahern put together, really dope. He said Burn was like, well, the first, all the gangs were B-boys, draft writers, and stick-up kids. So, and the B-boys back in the day used to come in the jam. The cypher started. If I look at my information, this is a theory for real, but the B-boys were the old gangs who would kind of clear them ciphers, not just because they were trying to dance, but because they were the brood boys, they were the bad boys. And so all that old culture, all that fighting the police, those were the B-boys doing that first. And they became up, and they became, you know what I mean?
There were a lot of, crazy, man, doing this research, I heard so many crazy stories I can't even say.
I can imagine.
They're crazy. But you also have today we're celebrating Kool Herc's birthday. What a lot of people don't know, Kool Herc gets credit for the double records. Kool Herc didn't invent the double record. It was a B-boy by the name the original Clark Kent who introduced taking two of the same records to Kool Herc, and that elevated the dance because B-boys before then were just dancing to we're dancing to the whole song. But when you have Give It Up, Turn It Loose, and you can back cue that and bring that back, and you can bring the favorite part, that adds an extra level to the dance. That adds a new level, that creates new moves and new energy in the whole nine. So 77, was a very poignant because of the riots, because of the DJ crews, because of B-boy. All of that. What do rappers rap over? The concept that a B-boy made. Two of the same record to this day. What do DJs practice over? Two of the record to get their coordination down. Right. So all of this stuff goes back to B-boy. Sneaker culture comes from two things: street ball and B-boy culture. To look fly, to look dope comes from B-boy culture. I don't care whether you're wearing polo, whether you're wearing Tommy Hilfiger, whether you're wearing Echo, or whether you're wearing whatever type of gear that you're wearing. To look fresh and to look clean, that was a B-boy thing. So
also, a lot of the breaks that the DJs were getting, they were getting them from B-boys, bringing them to them. The B-boys would bring them a cool hurt or whatever. This shit got a dope break. Play that. So a lot of the breaks that we're getting came from B-boys coming to them jams like this. Hey yo, play this. This got a dope break.
Marley
A
Marl,
lot of it.
Marley Marl, G-Rap, King, all of them rhymed over B-boy breaks. Their greatest songs was B-boy breaks. So, you know, and then, you know, in the 80s, rap just wasn't, you know, like in the 80s, when you thought of hip hop, you thought of B-boys. You didn't, and no disrespect to the DJs, you thought of B-boys over DJs, you know, and then graffiti, you know, like a little behind that, but it was all B-boys, you know, that's what it was about, you know. B-boying, if had there not been B-boying, KRS-One would not exist.
Right. I mean, none of it. Remember, and there's a video on the chosenzulu.com page, on the history page, from Kool Herc himself, where he says he noticed when he played these certain parts of the song that the B-boys went crazy, which means the B-boys already existed and he was catering the music to them. And then, like the brother said, even in that same video, he said, I was playing different breaks. So I was playing the Mexican, and then this, and then that. He wasn't doing
like it's
in his own words.
It's so poignant. It's so poignant. The research that I've done is actually the beginning of hip hop culture. Before Grandmaster Caz, before Melly Mel and them were rhyming, before all of these DJs, it was B-boys, not rappers, not MCs, not DJs. It was B-boys. There were from before 77, there were more B-boys than there were DJs. B-boying was more poignant than DJing.
Right. When you went to the party, you went to see the B-boys. Nobody was paying attention. And remember, in the early years, there wasn't scratching and cutting and mixing all that. They was putting the records on, and their record selection and their system is what made them.
Went to see the B-boys dance. They went to see what
They
went to see what They went to see what Trixie and this guy's going to do. They went to see what Track was going to do, or what Spy was going to do, or what Trace is going to do. And when you talk about ghetto celebrity, that's the foundation that came from B-boys. You know, that was B-boys and DJs is where that is. So when people say, B-boys, DJs are the backbone. I was like, yes, DJs are the backbone of the culture, but the backbone of their culture is B-boying history and culture.
Listen, there's not most DJs and rappers were B-boys first. Most of them were B-boys first. I mean, Melly Mel was a B-boy.
Yep.
I mean, we could go on and on. Rockwell, all of them B-boy first.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And what Legs said something in the 90s. He was like, what did he say? Graffiti artists are the outlaws. DJs are the foundation. B-boys are the ones that don't get any acknowledgement and credit, and rappers are the spoiled brats.
Hey, you can't really argue with it, you know what I mean?
See, but the industry grabbed the rappers up and eliminated everybody else. They took the rapper and took everybody else out of the culture, and they spent the 80s and the 90s doing that. They took the B-boys out in the 80s, and they took the DJ out in the 90s.
And I have a problem
on us
now. Come on. And I have a problem. I have a problem when people say the golden era of rap, when they all they mention is rap. So like you have some people that say, from like maybe 86 to like 95 was the golden era of rap. And I'm like, well, where is that? Because DJing died. Graffiti was done in 86. Because the writers rode a train the day that the day that Graph died, or the day that Graffiti died. It was a big write up and all that. And in 86, B-boying was done. So when is it? How is that era, when they call the golden era, from the mid to late 80s to the early 90s, the greatest era when all it was rap? Now, mind you, I'm going to be honest with you. When I heard guys like KRS and all them, I didn't like it. Because those beats were slow. I'm used to fast. I'm a B-boy. I want to dance to something fast, and I'm like, I don't like this new hip hop shit. I don't like this slow down beat. Eventually, I appreciate it or whatever, whatnot. The boom bap has its place or whatever, whatnot. But the essence of this culture is that energy. And you know, and then in the 90s, people are looking at me like, yo, you a raver because I'm b-boy. And I'm like, no, this is what it is. You just forgot what it was.
Right. But again,
you know?
This is why we emphasize the difference between the industry and the culture. As a culture, we have.
Well, I think the culture let the industry dictate them.
Right, but again, it's what happens with anything that we create. Rock and roll. I mean, all of it. But the difference is that we're in a position now to take our culture back, take control of it back. The industry can say and do whatever they want, but here we are connecting with each other and narrating the story to the people on a mass level. So again, this is why we're doing this. This is just the beginning. This is just the introduction to the conversation on B-Boy history, the fundamentals, the essential knowledge. You can check him on, again, that was Pluto-7 Goonage on Instagram. The Facebook page was, remind me, 70s? Okay, the 70s rocking B-Boy history. All right, so definitely check that out for more information. We will be working with him to, get whatever video collections we can, articles, things. We'll start sharing more of that on our page too. So join us on Chosen Zulu on Facebook and Chosen Zulu 2020 on Instagram, where we will be sharing more information related to this. There we can introduce you to pieces of the knowledge and then invite you to these meetings where we can get the specialists on. Thank you to Brothers Quan, to Brother Stretch, to Brother Sir Malik, to Brothers Fat. With that being said, any closing statements before we wrap it up? Anything important to know, to remember, to consider, feel free. Questions?
I'll just have to say this. My interaction on my Facebook page is like not in existence because they're giving me a problem of getting back on. So it's going to be tough for me to interact on that. But I'm mainly on my Instagram page for now. Hopefully I can get back on that. So I can, start that back up, and continue uploading more information and more history because I got a bunch more that I would like to share.
Definitely. I mean, again, this is just the intro. We're going to rotate around. We'll probably come back around. If anything, we'll probably set up a special where we could just go in detail, on the different areas that you feel are important. But just to recap, we talked about, the early days, the shuffle, the 3-step, 4-step, 6 steps, the introduction to the freeze, power moves, air moves, backspins, continuous backspins. Who are some of the iconic groups, individuals? We talked about not a lot, but a handful of the early B-girls in the early days, the difference between b-boying, breaking, and breakdancing, our thoughts on how it's going into the Olympics and what we can do and how we can start to become this hip-hop culture collective to start telling this story. Fats, you're part of that. Pluto, you're part of that. Tito, Sir Malik, Quan, I'd love to have you in more of these conversations. Stretch, TBB, definitely. We want to connect. You represent a region that we want to be part of this in the story. You have information that we have. Hermana de Uruguay, China, lo siento que no hiciste mucho en español, perdón, me olvidó, pero mucho de la información yo puedo recordar y puedo decir si tiene preguntas. To everybody that's been here, thank you for joining. Thank you for taking the time. I really wish, like me, Pluto, Fats, we all spend 3, 4, 5 hours on the phone sometimes talking, but I don't want to do that to all of y'all tonight. So this is just the introduction. But again, what we do here is a free introduction to introduce you guys to the topics and the conversations that we have behind the scenes. We want to invite you to those conversations. So with that, we do a membership subscription program where for $9.99 a month, you can get access to these other meetings that are private meetings where we can discuss more with Pluto and Brother Fat and Brother Emil from South Africa and so many others. So for more information on that, if you want to know, text me, Prism Chosen Zulu on Facebook. Unfortunately, my friends list is full, so I can't accept anymore, but you can follow me and you can message me or at Chosen Zulu on Facebook or Chosen Zulu 2020. We want to connect with brothers and sisters from all over the world to make this an international culture, to make sure your voice is represented, your country is represented, your element is represented, your knowledge, your experience, your expertise, so we can put it all together and tell them this is our story, not watch them tell us this is your story. You feel me? All right.
Right.
Anything
Hey, Pluto, don't forget me on that email in the chat, brother. The email address in the chat.
Yeah, I'll send you a message.
Appreciate it.
All right. Final words from each of you.
Yes.
Final words from Brother Fats. Any final words?
I just want to say that I just want to remind everybody of what's really going on to me, what's really good. I do a lot of spiritual work. I've been doing a lot of it lately. And it's basically the apocalypse, I think, of hip hop where everything is being revealed. for what it is and who people are being revealed for who they really are. That's why a lot of things are coming out now.
I'm seeing
You know, a lot of
that.
this bad that were coming out from history, but it's a cleansing. So I'm looking at it on the good side now, where we are now the front runners of the future of hip hop history. We're not going to knock the elders. We're not going to do that. We're going to put everybody, me and Pooh, we said this earlier, put everybody and everything into their proper perspective. And so this thing is a syllabus and a curriculum that's universal. So b-boying is being taught the same way in Texas, China, Mexico. That's my goal. And so I love y'all. I love the energy around everything we doing, yo. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. You know what I mean? Let's keep the energy going. That's it, man. Those are my final words, man. You know what I'm saying? Good with that,
All right.
man.
Peace.
Blessings, brother.
All right. Sir Malik, any final words? There you go.
Is that IRA?
Yes, it is.
I thought that was. What's up, IROC? Give us your 2 cents real
What's
quick.
going on, brothers?
How you feeling, fam? How you doing? How you like what you heard?
Oh, shit.
I missed the beginning of it, but I know Brother Pluto, you know, he has a lot of knowledge and history, and I respect that man for what he's done, and you know, having this collective of just facts in general from, you know, from the 70s point of view and whatnot. And you know, there's a lot of cats. I'm not just speaking on, you know, saying good things about Pluto because I know the brother. I'm just gonna speak outside like if I was a third party, because there's a lot of quote unquote people that call themselves historians. And I spoke to a few of those cats, and you can tell that they're full of shit right off the bat, because when you mention certain individuals from, you know, the 70s culture or just the b-boy culture in general, and they give you a question, who is that? They know historian. And there's a few cats, you know, that I respect that are trying to be a historian, but their information that they receive is from Pluto.
Hey, that's what's up. That's truth. That's fact.
Thank you for that. But I have to say, don't sleep on IROC, man, because he brings the history from the Pacific. He brings, like, the 80s is so much to cover in the 80s, and his perspective of the 80s is something that is rarely talked about. You have to be super geeked out because he's coming over from, you know, from Hawaii and how they connect with the West Coast. You can't mention Hawaii without the West Coast and vice versa.
Okay. Is that true, IROC?
Sorry to interrupt, but IROC, what's up? This is Zol.
Oh, what's going on, girl?
It's nice meeting all of you. I'm glad to hear all this.
Pleasure.
It's
a
a
pleasure to have
man.
you. Thank you for your
Blessings.
participation.
Blessings,
All right, this
man.
is what we do, man. We're trying to connect iconic, important individuals from around the world and have them validate and verify this information and make sure, like, you guys don't know, we got brother Ray Domingo from Philippines on here. He's part of the next generation, listening to all of y'all on here, taking down notes, and he's going to bring it to our whole country. This is what we're trying to do. Shout out to Ray Domingo. Much love, brother. Glad you made it.
Yeah, I shot Ray and them that outline, that timeline that I did or whatever. That's why I'm gonna get with Pluto. We're gonna finalize that. Got Ray and them in the Philippines going on that already. Even probably get with us too, Chosen. Probably gonna do like an outstretched presentation on b-boying. Gotta have Pluto involved in that. Kind of blueprinting that too. You know what I mean?
Definitely, absolutely. That's what we're talking about. Brother Quan, any final thoughts? Final words?
He might have went because I think he's on his route.
Yeah. No, he's on.
No.
mute, so,
I'm here.
there
You
you
can hear me? You can
Yes,
hear me?
sir. What's good, brother? Yes.
Yeah, I don't
Final
know.
words,
I heard
final thoughts.
everything. I heard everything that you guys were saying. As far as what that kid was mentioning before, IROC.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Quan,
What's
how
up,
you
B?
doing, brother?
Yes, I'm straight, B. About the historians, individuals like that who play themselves, they'll find themselves by themselves. So
Truth.
that's something that they could
Right.
heads who know what time it is, they'll leave them alone. You know what I'm saying? And when you give someone enough rope, sooner or later they'll hang themselves. That's basically like what they're gonna do. Because
Yes, sir.
what a lot of people tend to forget and realize is that what doesn't sink is gonna float. So whatever remix version that you're giving, sooner or later it's gonna end up changing. So that's why, like I said, just let them talk.
Right.
We got to say it as far as what we do. Seeing is believing. That's something that I go by. Pluto can relate to that, and he knows what my meaning behind that on a physical matter.
Right.
The physical matter behind that is having these meetings, being able to have individuals who can't relate or do what we do. When we speak to them, it's with sense.
Right.
It's not sounding like an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Where we got to keep it real. You see, they're not going to take you serious once they see you talking like that. Because to them, they look at it as like some ghetto trash or some thug or some punk that doesn't know what he's talking about, but he's quick to want to talk about money. See, that's the greediness in him right there. You're not showing no kind of love for what you do. When you love something, it's going to show. When you like something, it's just something that's okay or all right. It's something that could be replaced. So you got to love what you do, and everything else will fall in place because that's the truth inside. It's like a song that has a melody. Where does the melody come from? Your soul. See, so that's the truth in you right there. That's the truth that's gonna show you.
Preaching. That's the universal truth.
That's what's gonna come from. Exactly. That's where it's gonna come from. You know, when we say word is bond, that's your word. So basically, it's just a matter of just individuals practicing what they preach every chance you get, if you can, because right now I know we're all adults, either with your family or it's understanding. If you could go and support when these little kids have these jams, go to support them. You know, the sad thing is that I no longer live in New York anymore. I left New York in 2006. I'm out here in Texas now. But I still support heads as far as in New York because it's going to always be in my heart.
Right.
I went to a jam in New York that they threw up in the Bronx at the PAL Center, and the majority of individuals were there was just TBB members and the parents to the kids. Where were all those so-called known B-boys in New York not there to support? Because you want to know why? Because the paper wasn't right.
No money, correct.
See? Paper wasn't right for them. So it's not about the kids, it's all about them. That's the selfishness behind it. And that's the reason why a lot of people sort of like distance themselves from it, man.
I feel you. And that's why we're trying to do what we do here, to connect with people like you that love this, that live this. Like I said, there's a difference between the music, the industry, and the culture and the way of life and the people who live this stuff. This is who we're connecting with. Feel me?
Yes.
100. Tito Fitz Rivera, any final words to share, brother?
Sorry. I'm really grateful to meet everybody here today. There's a lot of work to be done, and I really do hope that part of what happens coming out of this meeting is a magical word called follow-up. Link up with Prism. Let's determine how we can create synergy. I hear a couple brothers in here either been already working on books, curriculums. You know, when are they going to be done? Who's the audience? Who are they for? How could we help? You know, I'm involved on the leadership board of at least 3 schools or 4 schools. I would love to have that so we could pilot that and help get it out there. But you got to meet us in the middle, right? You got to put your work in. You got to get that book done. When's it going to be done? Set a goal.
Or the video or the documentary or whatever it is. Yeah.
Let's challenge each other, you know? In the same way when you in the crew and you in the cipher, you challenge each other to bring the best out. As organizers for hip hop, we must also challenge each other. So I challenge you. Follow up. Make a goal. Work hard to stick towards it. Let Prism know if you think our team could help you in any way. Much love, peace, and blessings. All power to the people. Pa'lante.
Peace. Love
blessings,
that.
brother.
And real quick, a brother I haven't heard from much tonight. Damn, did he just leave? Jazor no está aquí. He just left. I was just gonna call on him. Damn. That was a brother from Mexico. I wanted to get his input real quick and feedback. Also, how much he understood, because I think he understands some English, but I'm not sure. But yeah. So I don't want to take too much time. As most of us, Sir Malik is no longer on the call. Brother Fat, take us out. I mean, not Fat. I'm Pluto. Final words, final thoughts on B-Boy, the culture, the history, where they can go get more information. Anything else you think worth mentioning?
I think we should definitely do a follow up, because I think we just skimmed.
Money, yeah.
There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of directions, to talk about, and then everything. There's a lot of ways to inform. And there's a lot of resources, to pull together, whatnot. The one thing that I'm seeing is like everybody's already established.
Right.
Everybody already has their platform or whatnot. But to to have like a meeting place, it's good to see, where everybody's at. Right. And wherever, bodies, sharing stuff and everything, that's what we do. So, we just need to just build more and whatnot, and add more. And it would be great if some way, this stuff could be translated in different languages for easier for people to comprehend.
No, definitely. I was supposed to do more translating tonight, but some of the Spanish speakers didn't join until later, and I didn't notice it. So my bad, but we definitely will. I took notes of what we were writing, so I'll put it together and I'll share it with those that might not have been able to understand. But real quick, I can't forget, my brother that helped me co-found this organization way back in 1993. Many of you know him by name. Many of you know him in person. Many of you seen him at Bronx River at hip hop anniversaries from 1993 all the way until 2014-15. My brother, co-founder of Chosen, Asa. Please share with us your final thoughts, words of wisdom.
Peace, family. It was great. Peace, everyone. It was a very great discussion and presentation today. We got a lot of heavy hitters as we usually do, but this one was really explosive. A lot of great content and knowledge. We appreciate you. What I wanted to do, sometimes we haven't done it in some of our discussions recently, but usually we have like a little quote. And I found a perfect quote for this today and for us today. Thank you, Pluto, so much, man. We're very grateful to have your wisdom, your knowledge, and what you brought to the table today. And the quote that I found is a simple quote. It's "Dance is hidden language of soul," from Martha Graham. And I think that's definitely a solid quote. I'm gonna say it again. Dance is the hidden language of soul. And when the B-boys and B-girls and the dancers are out there doing their thing with that type of element, it definitely is from the soul, is a part of the soul, is basically your soul speaking, So I learned a lot. I took a lot of notes. I hope everyone else also took notes as well. Brother Quan, thank you for being on here tonight. I'm loving the Puma jacket. I'm seeing that you at work, and
I drive 18 wheelers for a living.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I'm
man.
grateful, for you being on.
Too.
Right. And you driving in style, as always.
Yeah.
And
you know what it is, OB? It's like people who really know me, I don't put on an act, man.
Right.
To me, it's like be yourself. And also, another thing, that quote you just mentioned, that's basically like just talking about what I mentioned before, man. Be the melody to what you do.
Right.
100%.
Right.
I'm saying, be the melody to what you do, B. That's it. That's the truth right there, B.
Right. True. Thank you for your dedication. Even although you at work, you on with us tonight. Thank you so much. And many of you will do the same as well. Sister Zeal, thank you. It's an honor to have you. It's a pleasure to finally connect with you. We would like to have many more discussions and see, what you can bring and what you can show us, because I know that you have a lot to offer as well. For those in Spanish too, I know everyone touched on that already. Tito, Prism, Pluto. There's many people from different languages. So in the future, we will try to see if we can pause every once in a while and just summarize it as best as possible. We'll work on that for those that are on the call. Que yo dije en inglés es que queremos tener más opciones y más tiempo de vez en cuando en la discusión y la presentación para hablar y expresar lo que estamos hablando a todo el mundo. Por favor, dale chance a nosotros y vamos a arreglar eso y podemos estar más bien. Gracias a todos ustedes. And last but not least, take the time to brother DMX, artist, a great brother, great beloved. He had recently passed, so I just wanted to say God bless him, send out prayers to him and his family. And I say that into connection to one of our very own beloved chosen family members, our brother Ronnie, Knowledge Born. Some of you may know him as Knowledge Born. His mother passed as well, so I wanted to send prayers to him and support and love to the brother, and let him know that we love Sharon Denise Watkins. She was a mother to many of us. She made us into the warriors that we were. A lot of times she may not have understood what Zulu was, what hip hop was, and she seen me at Knowledge Born, running around the community, building, having meetings, discussions, and she was always supportive. She didn't understand it, but she was supportive. So it's also because of her that some of us are here today and are as strong as we are because of her. So I thank her, and may she, rest with chosen. Thank you all. Peace.
Blessings, brother.
Man. Peace. One love, man. So again, this is just the beginning. All these conversations are just the beginning introduction, so that way we can start these conversations to become more commonplace. We do this meeting every 2 weeks on Friday. Every 2 weeks, we feature a different speaker. In 2 weeks, we're going to be doing it with the Universal Hip Hop Museum and Martha Diaz. She's going to be giving us an explanation of everything that's going on with the museum and possibly a virtual tour of what the museum is going to look like, at least a section of it anyway. So I'm definitely looking forward to that, connecting with them to ask more questions, get more knowledge and information, and also to learn how we're going to be participating in helping them to build that. 2 weeks, Universal Hip Hop Museum, every 2 weeks, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, we do this. This will definitely not be the last time you see Brother Pluto-7. He's always going to be a specialist and a panelist that will be available to comment, to add his expertise. And you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, reach out to him on his Instagram for now, but definitely connect on that Facebook page. Even though you may not be able to message him directly, there is a wealth of knowledge, of information as far
The
as
Instagram also as well. So yeah.
Yeah, so hit it up. All right, thank you. God bless. A little prayer to all of you. You have survived everything that has happened to you so far. You are warriors. God is with us. The higher power is with us. Let's connect to that. Like the brother said, be the melody. We say be chosen. Be the best version of yourself. Connect to your passions and your abilities and your talents and your hobbies, and you will be a light among all the people in your life. By the name of God, grace of God, stay safe. Peace.
Prism. I'm gonna charge my phone up for a little bit, but I'm gonna give you a call in a little bit.
Definitely, no doubt. Real quick shout out, TBB was definitely in the house tonight. Good looking. I see Jason TBB, Omar Sandoval, Stretch TBB, Pluto, One Love. Thank you all for joining. I would love to stay on all night, but you guys will be over here till midnight with me if I don't stop.
Quick question.
So we're gonna do this again. Go ahead.
I could probably Google it, but off the top, have anybody said, are there any known video documentaries on b-boying and breakdancing? And part two to that is, as far as a transcript, there might be like Google has it, but a third-party app on the computer that can do like a voice-to-text transcript, so that way we can take that and then just translate it, make it a lot easier for everybody. And I can try to look into that and see.
Yeah, there was an app. There was an app I saw a while ago that advertised on Instagram for that. There was an app for that. I can't remember what it is. There was an app for that. As far as like documentaries, there's tons of them. There's just I would say message me and I can make a list for you.
Okay.
Yeah, if anything, I'm gonna say
freshest kids off the top. Freshest kids off the top.
There you go. I was
Which
gonna say
one?
you can message me. And we'll
Freshest kids.
Freshest
Got
kids.
you.
But send me the list and we'll post it on the Chosen Zulu page. For anybody who wants to know more about documentary stuff like that, definitely connect with that. Brother Jason, TBB, is there something you wanted to say real quick?
Yo, peace, everybody. Peace.
Peace, brother.
Good.
Yeah. So I would appreciate everybody share all knowledge tonight. I learned a lot from different people, different culture, and also I want big shout out my brother Pluto-7. It's always update the old picture and the some stuff like the information, the true information on the Facebook page. 70 B-Boys Rocking. So also I did some like interview. I post my all interview on Facebook and also on my YouTube channel, the Hip Hop Student. So you can check out my interview too. I can help like you guys like do some like the Chinese translator, like the Chinese subtitle to my country for my people. Whatever, if you can have like any document or some like the video record, I can.
That would be awesome. We would love that.
Jason is really good. Jason.
So where are you calling from, Jason? Where is he coming from?
I come from China, but I live in New York right now.
Oh, okay. Okay, definitely. That's what's up. I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely hit me up. Facebook. It's like you see my name here, Prism Chosen Zulu. Message me. That's the best way to reach me because it's 24/7 international. Definitely. We want to connect with you. We want you to
don't forget Norin Rad too, man. One day we got to get Norin Rad on there. He's the truth. He's the truth.
Charlie Rock too. That's what's up.
Charlie. Yeah, there's a lot of good, people.
All right. So again, thank you to all of you. Anybody I didn't shout out: Eric Morgado, China de Uruguay, DJ FF, Quan, IROC, Pluto. Damn, I love you, brothers. I wish we could stay on all night, but we're gonna keep it short tonight. We ain't done. This is just the beginning story. Again, every 2 weeks, Friday, 8 p.m. The more the merrier. Tell your friends. We want, especially knowledge minds, where we can make this a conversation and really start contributing to the story, documenting it, recording it, translating it into different languages. Come on, man. We're just getting started. Love your brothers. Thank you for taking the time. Have a wonderful evening. Peace and blessings.
Peace.
Peace, Chosen. Take care. Thank you.
Peace, love y'all, man. Stay blessed.
Love you more. Peace.